UK, meanwhile, the conversations surrounding the place of statues and symbols of its colonial past have been taking place. The spotlight has come back onto the country's history following the protest over the killing of George Floyd. It's not a new conversation, but it's one that some hope will lead to real change. Neil O'Reilly has more.
Across the UK, symbols of Britain's colonial past are being swept away in a tide of anger. Outrage that first erupted in protests over the George Floyd killing has been turned on statues of imperialist monarchs and slave traders. Speaking to Euronews, one prominent historian characterised it as an unprecedented outpouring.
It's probably the first time in the history of slavery that the white community, the white system, so to speak, is extremely cooperative. We haven't had this cooperation on racism in terms of getting rid of it. So my view is that the next thing we should take down is racism.
In places like Oxford University, the movement has reinvigorated a long-standing campaign for the removal of statues celebrating colonialists. But not everyone agrees.
I think destroying the past is never a good thing. I think that there's something rather peculiar about demanding the destruction of or the removal of statues of people who died more than a century ago. It seems to me to be a strange diversion from important and more pressing things.
The debate raises profound questions for a country whose wealth has been built partly on its imperial legacy, a wealth enjoyed by the population as a whole.
I think that one has to be very careful with questions like this, not to just pick out a single individual, because the whole empire, all of Britain, universities, cities, industry was all built on materials, resources and wealth taken from other parts of the world.
Attacks on statues of King Leopold are forcing Belgium to confront its exploitative conquests in Africa. And elsewhere in Europe, authorities are mulling removing monuments or renaming streets, actions that would be equally provocative for some and further inflame passions. Neil O'Reilly, Euronews.